Sometimes, it feels like life moves so fast, and yet, when we step into a garden, time slows down. There's a certain magic in planting something once, and watching it bloom again and again year after year. No rushing, no stress, just steady beauty, just like us. If you've ever wished for a garden that gives more than it takes, that rewards you with color and joy without endless work, then today's video is exactly what you've been waiting for. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Welcome to Golden Seniors Gardening, where we share tips and transformation videos to help you live the best life, one beautiful garden at a time. Now let's get started. You know, as we get older, we deserve things that give back, plants that don't demand too much, but still bring a smile to our face. Perennials are nature's gift to us. You plant them once, and they return every year, stronger, more beautiful. And if you choose the right ones, they can turn even the simplest patch of earth into a place of peace, pride, and pure happiness. When I think of the perfect perennial, my mind always wanders back to my grandmother's garden in Nova Scotia. She didn't have much, just a small backyard, but oh how it bloomed every spring. I remember her kneeling there, her old hands in the dirt, smiling as the same flowers came back, no matter how harsh the winter had been. She used to say, "Plants like people are strongest when they survive the seasons." I didn't understand it back then, but now I feel it deep in my bones. Let's talk about the first gem for your garden, peonies. If there's one flower that's worth every minute of patience, it's a peony. Big, soft blooms that look like they belong in a fairy tale. And the scent, oh, it's sweeter than any perfume you could buy. They start a little slow. The first year, you might only get a few blooms, but give them time, and they'll reward you for decades. Some peony plants have been known to live for over 50 years. It's like planting a memory that never fades. I remember Mrs. Hargrove from down the street. She planted a row of pink and white peonies after her husband passed. Every year, when those blossoms opened, it was like he was still there with her, smiling through the petals. She'd sit on her porch with her tea, staring at those flowers like they were old friends. Sometimes, healing doesn't come from words. Sometimes, it comes from watching something beautiful return after a long winter. Now the second perennial I just can't leave off the list is lavender. There's something about lavender that touches the soul. The color, the scent. It's like a deep breath on a busy day. Lavender loves the sun, doesn't need much water, and asks so little from you, yet gives so much back. It keeps blooming and thriving, even when you're busy living your life. And the best part, it brings bees and butterflies into your garden, turning your backyard into a little world of life and movement. My friend George, who's 72 now, planted lavender when he retired. He said he needed something to care for, but something that wouldn't overwhelm him. Today his backyard smells like a dream. Every time I visit, I see butterflies dancing from flower to flower, and George sitting quietly, reading a book, a small smile on his face. He says it's the best decision he ever made. It's funny, when you plant lavender, you're not just planting a flower, you're planting calm, peace, and a reminder to slow down and savor the moment. The third treasure I want to share with you is dahlias. Oh, the humble dahlias. Some folks overlook them because their blooms last only a day, but what they don't realize is that these plants produce so many blooms. Your garden will look like a festival all summer long. They are incredibly tough. Rain or shine, they keep putting on a show. And they come in so many colors. Oranges, reds, yellows, even soft pastels. I once met a woman named Clara at a local garden show. She had lost most of her mobility after a stroke, but her garden was still a wonder. How? Dahlias. She said they reminded her that even when things seem brief or hard, new beauty is always just around the corner. She called them her hope flowers. Every morning she'd wheel herself out to see what new blooms had opened overnight. Every day was a little surprise, a little gift. It's moments like those that remind me. A garden isn't just about flowers. It's about life and hope and healing. There's something special about building a garden that greets you every morning like an old friend. You don't rush it. You don't force it. You simply plant the right pieces, and nature does the rest. And the next perennial on our list is a true symbol of that quiet, faithful beauty, coneflowers. You might know them as echinacea. They stand tall with their vibrant purple petals and sturdy golden centers, like little sunbursts planted in the earth. What I love most about coneflowers is how strong they are. They can survive the heat of summer, a sudden storm, even poor soil, and they just keep blooming, fearless and bold. I once met an old gentleman named Peter at a farmer's market in Vermont. He was in his late 70s, walking slow but proud, holding a bunch of fresh coneflowers. He told me he started gardening after his wife passed, needing something to care for when the house became too quiet. These flowers, he said, remind me that even after the worst storms, life stands back up. I never forgot those words, and every time I see a coneflower, I think about resilience, about the power of simply standing tall through whatever life brings. If you're looking for a flower that will give your garden color, strength, and even a bit of medicine, coneflowers are known for their healing properties, then you can't go wrong planting a few. Now let's talk about something a little different. A perennial that feels like a sweet secret tucked away in a garden corner. Hostas. Hostas aren't flashy. They don't scream for attention with bright petals. But they weave a kind of quiet magic, especially in shady spots where not much else will grow. Their broad, lush leaves come in every shade of green you can imagine. Some edged with white or gold, some deep as a forest, others light and playful like a summer breeze. And once they settle in, they come back bigger and bolder each year, without asking much at all. I remember visiting my Aunt Helen in Ontario one summer. She had a tiny garden in the shade of a big maple tree. Nothing seemed to thrive there, except for her hostess. She used to say, "We can't all bloom in the spotlight. Some of us are made for the shade," and she was right. Her shady little garden was a cool green oasis, a place where you could sit and listen to the birds and forget the noise of the world for a while. Sometimes we don't need more noise or brightness in life. Sometimes we just need a little peace. Hostas bring that peace to any garden, making even the darkest corners feel loved and alive. And now, let me introduce you to a flower that's as close to a miracle as a garden can offer. Black-eyed Susans. There's a simple happiness about black-eyed Susans. Their bright yellow petals and dark centers seem to smile up at you, even on the hottest summer days. They're tough. Boy, are they tough. And once you plant them, they'll spread their joy year after year, often bringing in flocks of bees and butterflies. It's almost like your garden throws a little party every afternoon. I once helped a neighbor, Joyce, plant her first batch of black-eyed Susans after she moved into a retirement community. She was nervous, worried she couldn't keep up with gardening anymore. But those flowers surprised her. They needed so little but gave back so much. By the end of summer, her little patch was the brightest spot in the whole community. Every morning, you'd see Joyce out there, cup of coffee in hand, greeting her golden sea of flowers like old friends. It gave her something to look forward to every single day. And isn't that what we all want? Not more chores, not more work, just simple joys we can count on, even when life throws its curveballs. When you fill your garden with perennials like peonies, lavender, dahlias, coneflowers, hostas, and black-eyed Susans, you're not just planting flowers, you're planting moments, memories. Small daily miracles that remind you of beauty don't disappear with time. It only grows richer. Each one of these plants holds a little lesson tucked inside its leaves and petals. Patience, strength, resilience, quiet joy, and most importantly, the reminder that it's never too late to create something beautiful, something lasting. When you find a flower that feels like it belongs to you, that's when a garden stops being just a hobby and becomes part of your heart. And the final perennial I want to share with you today is exactly that kind of flower. Hydrangeas. Oh, the wonder of hydrangeas. They don't just bloom, they transform. Huge, generous clusters of flowers, changing color depending on the soil, from soft blues to vibrant pinks and purples. It's like waking up to a brand new garden every season. And the best part, hydrangeas have a way of making even the smallest space feel grand and full of life. I remember visiting a tiny seaside village in Maine. It was one of those places where every house had a white picket fence, and almost every yard had at least one enormous hydrangea bush by the porch. I stopped to admire one particularly stunning bush, and the woman who lived there, she must have been close to 80, came out smiling. She told me she planted it with her husband the year they bought the house, nearly 50 years ago. He had passed on, but that hydrangea stood taller than either of them ever did, blooming brighter each year, like a living memory wrapped in color. She said, "Some things you plant once, and they love you forever." It stuck with me. And it's true. Hydrangeas aren't just flowers. They're a legacy. A gift you leave for the next season, the next year, the next heart that walks by and smiles. When you add hydrangeas to your garden, you're not just adding beauty, you're adding a story that grows with you. A story you'll be proud to pass on, whether it's to a child, a grandchild, or simply the next kind soul who finds themselves wandering by. So now think about it. Imagine stepping outside, breathing in the scent of lavender on a summer breeze, seeing the sturdy coneflowers standing tall, catching a glimpse of those joyful black-eyed Susans dancing in the light, the calming spread of hostas in the shade, the lush, timeless blooms of peonies nodding in the afternoon sun, and the grand, colorful hydrangeas waiting like old friends. That isn't just a garden, that's a sanctuary. A place you can go when the world feels loud. A place that says, you're still growing, you're still blooming. And the truth is, so many people think gardening is too much work, especially as we get older. They think it's about digging and bending and pulling weeds until your back gives out. But what they miss is that it's not about the work at all. It's about the reward. It's about the quiet moments. The first green shoots in spring, the unexpected bloom after a long rain, the peaceful pride of knowing you created something beautiful, simply by choosing to plant and letting nature do her part. And here's something else I've learned over the years. A garden isn't just a place outside your home, it's a place inside your heart. Every flower, every leaf, every soft buzzing bee is a reminder you are still part of something beautiful, still connected to seasons, to change, to new beginnings. Even if your body feels slower than it once did, even if the world around you feels a little louder, a little faster, your garden will always move at your pace. It will wait for you. It will bloom for you. It will remind you that your story is still being written. One petal, one sunrise, one gentle breeze at a time.